Hey everybody, what is up? Welcome back to yet another video. Today I'm going to be taking a look at games that you can play on the 3DS that I really think if you haven't played already, you should play. Today's video is going to be taking a look at DS games, and then next week's video we'll be taking a look at 3DS games. So, before we get started, just know that this is my opinion, and with that opinion, it's games that I've actually played, or I at least played all the way through. A lot of people say that The World Ends With You is a really good game, and Final Fantasy Tactics A2 is a really good game. And starting to play them, I can see that, but I haven't finished it, so I don't think I have a good enough opinion of them yet. So that said, remember that while we go through the video, I'm definitely not going to be covering every single DS game out there. There's hundreds upon hundreds of them, and I clearly have not played them all. So, that said, let's get right into the video. The first game we will take a look at is Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger is an RPG that was originally made for the Super NES and was ported to the DS in 2008. Chrono Trigger is widely regarded as one of the best games of all time, and for good reason. Almost every aspect of this game is near perfection. The battle system employed is one that relies on each character having a timed bar. For each bar completion, the character can attack. Enemies, on the other hand, can attack freely, and you really need to strategize when and who you attack. One of the best aspects of the system is the ability to utilize 2 or even 3 members of your party to unleash powerful combo attacks. It's a very satisfying battle system. Not only is the gameplay amazing, but the story and the characters are fantastically fleshed out. There are multiple characters, each with their own backstory, multiple and gorgeous landscapes, and the best part of all is the multiple endings. Certain points in Chrono Trigger result in a branch at the end of the game. Some endings are minorly different, and others are huge. The choices you receive during the game impact the ending, but you never stop to think, how will this affect the ending, and should I look this up? You want to get to the end in a natural way since it feels that much more rewarding. This game lives up to its height and is certainly at the pinnacle of RPG experiences. Next up is honestly one of my personal favorites in the DS library, Ghost Trick Phantom Detective. The game itself is basically an interactive visual novel, but the story that Ghost Trick tells is one that will make you not want to turn your system off. You play as a person who just died. You have become a soul and have discovered the ability to possess objects and turn back time to save others from dying. Your goal is to find out who you are before dawn, but as the story progresses, twists and turns, you end up becoming a behind-the-scenes detective in multiple murders, all of which wrap up in an incredibly satisfying way. The characters you meet along the way are truly memorable, and the dialogue is witty, captivating, and endearing. The game could simply be that and be satisfying, but no, Ghost Trick adds even more. The main gameplay aspect revolves around possessing certain objects in an attempt to disrupt the flow of time. You're given a limited time to stop a person from being murdered. It's an incredible twist on the usual visual novel gameplay, as I found it much more engaging and less linear. Don't get me wrong, the solutions to the puzzles are very linear indeed, but they aren't always obvious, and the game encourages exploration since failing to save someone just results in the restart of that particular segment. Overall, Ghost Trick Phantom Detective is one of my favorite games of all time. It features an amazing narrative with beautiful graphics, great characters, and killer gameplay. Next on the list is Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story. The Mario & Luigi series is an RPG series that focuses on a quirky story with great gameplay elements. Each brother is mapped to a specific button that you not only control them while in the overworld, but it also controls them in combat. And that's where this series shines above other RPGs. The combat is fluid, engaging, and incredibly fun. For each attack, be it a single brother attacking or both of them combining attacks into a special bro attack, you have to time the impact correctly. If you go for a simple jump on the enemy with Luigi, for example, you press B at the right time to get an excellent grade and do loads of damage. In addition, whenever an enemy attacks you, you're given the opportunity to counterattack, either by using your hammer or simply jumping on them to cancel their attack and respond with your own damage. This is why the Mario & Luigi games excel in the RPG genre. They create an incredibly engaging battle system that rewards you for paying attention. But what sets this game above other iterations in the series? Simply put, you play as Bowser. Part of the game has you playing as the plumber duo, but the other part has you literally controlling Bowser. The gameplay with Bowser is fairly similar to the Mario Bros, but the moves Bowser has are far different. Since he doesn't have a brother, his special attacks are him utilizing his troops such as Goombas and Shy Guys. It's so refreshing to not only have a Mario game with a fairly good story that's charming and funny, but to also get a rare chance at playing as one of the most recognizable villains of all time. Bowser's Inside Story is a charming RPG that not only lets you play as Bowser, but lets Bowser steal the show away from Nintendo's own mascot, Mario. Next up on my list is less one game, but rather a series. I'm talking about the Professor Layton games. These games take the concept of a visual novel and intertwine exploration with a load of puzzle solving. The Professor Layton series is divided so far into 2 trilogies. The stories don't exactly connect to each other, but there is a timeline for them. 4 of the 6 games are on the DS, while the last 2 are on the 3DS. The stories told in this game are subtly exaggerated. What I mean by that is that they're usually things that can't really happen in real life, but the story is told in such a way that it feels immensely possible. Needless to say, these games are fantastic at telling stories. In addition to that, almost every action in this game is complemented by a relevant puzzle. There are usually over 100 puzzles in these games, and each one is relevant to either the story or the area you are in. And that's what really brings this game home. They didn't have to tie the puzzles to the story. They simply could have been just quote-unquote tests for the daring Professor Layton. But no, Level 5 decided to make every aspect of this game relevant to your progression. All in all, Professor Layton games sport a fulfilling narrative, great characters, and not only a wide array of puzzles, but also puzzles that relate to every aspect. Finally, I want to take a look at yet another series as a whole. This time, I bring you the Ace Attorney series. The Ace Attorney series is another visual novel whose gameplay is similar to puzzles. Instead of the straightforward puzzle solving in Professor Layton's, Ace Attorney takes a different approach. For the first 3 games, you play as Phoenix Wright, a defense attorney, while in the 4th game you play as a different character. Each game takes you through multiple cases, each with various stages. There's an evidence and witness questioning stage, and then a trial stage, where you cross-examine the witnesses. The crux of the game is to question people, gather evidence, and then use their answers and the evidence to tear apart their statements and attempt to prove your client innocent. It's a very linear game, but getting to that end can be a challenge, and the story is always worth it. There's always a large cast of characters that are usually fleshed out and interesting. Solving a case without getting something wrong or looking it up is super satisfying. The series as a whole is satisfying. The stories told are interesting, the gameplay is fun, and the whole setting is well done. So that, guys, are the top 4, well, I guess it's less 4 and more 8, I think, games on the DS library that I personally think, if you haven't played yet, you really should. Now, I mean, granted, outside of Ghost Trick, I think most of those are incredibly popular games to begin with, so you probably have played them all before. That said, out of that list, if I really did have to rank it, I would go Chrono Trigger, Ghost Trick, Ace Attorney, and then Professor Layton, because honestly, Ghost Trick and Chrono Trigger are some of the best games that I've ever played. They're just both very well done, so give them a try. They're usually pretty cheap to get on Amazon, around 20 bucks, which isn't too bad. Especially, I got Chrono Trigger 20 bucks new, in-box sealed. That was fantastic. So yeah, that's what I got to say. Next week, we will be taking a look at 3DS games, and there's a much smaller library there, so we'll be able to get a lot more games going for that. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I hope to see you guys at the next episode. Peace.